I think you might have just got a tag phrase for the entire brand identity. You name it, we create it.
Welcome into the first episode of Conversation. My name is Connor Friend. This is Conversation with Wheat State Creates. Wheat State Creates Conversation. I'm here with my good friend, my good brother, Alex. Alex, how you doing? How are you feeling about this whole process?
I'm feeling excited to have some conversation. I just really enjoy when we have conversation. And you know what I would like even more is when we are in the wheat state having conversation.
So this is the very first episode of Conversation. You might be wondering, what in the world is this, and why is it a part of a podcast named Wheat State, but there's conversation, and then there's all these other episodes, such as
Extra Spicy, originally on Baseball Cards AF, continuing on there, but under this new umbrella that you and I have kind of created.
Absolutely. And then there's also going to be Stacks of Wax, which we won't get into the weeds of that. Maybe we'll explain it here in a bit, but just so you guys know, wherever you're coming from, I just want to let you guys know that we have an Instagram page, Wheat State Creates, at Wheat State Creates. That used to be a wiffle ball page, and it was called Wheat State Wiffle Ball, and we played some wiffle ball on there, and we are the guys that brought you Wheat State Wiffle Ball, but now we're here doing this Wheat State Creates, and we have so many great ideas, so much content to cover. We have a long laundry list of things that we want to do for you, but this is the very first podcast episode called Conversation. So to get into this, Alex, let's just kind of give them a little bit of background on what we're doing and why we changed our Instagram from wiffle ball to this content-driven content creation type thing, and why is it called Wheat State?
Yeah, so it kind of all rooted in a feeling that I had, and I think you shared mutually over the course of this year, especially with COVID going on.
Right.
The things that we valued kind of got stripped away, and the only things that we really were left with that we kind of realized was kind of our conversations and talking to people. And that's really kind of been our only thing that we've had as far as any form of entertainment.
The only real thing to keep us going has been our conversations, whether that's through text, through, just internet in general, but also playing video games. But it's just one of those things where in these times, things have changed so much.
Yeah.
As you can attest, and I think as everyone can attest, that, we were playing wiffle ball there for a while when it was safe to play still, and that was an outlet, but also this content creation and this whole Wheat State idea came from kind of both of our ideas coming into one. Like we're both very creative people. I work in the creative industry, doing videography and editing and motion graphics and graphic design and all that good stuff. And you are creative in other ways.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, obviously I've been a little bit more on the artsy side of things. I've got that kind of going on. I've always kind of been interested in generalizing or visualizing concepts and whatnot, and thinking of what's the next thing that we can do. We always feel like we're trying to make content, but we never really had an outlet for that.
Right.
And something I feel like, at least a driving force for me this year, has always seemed like things are just out of your reach, just out of your control. Everything is kind of being controlled for you. And we, I feel like, both mutually kind of came up with this idea where we checked off the box that we needed an outlet, so we created one. We wanted to be hands-on and pretty much take control over
the things that we want to create in a sense,
Exactly. So what we had kind of come up with was, one, a podcast, and we're like, okay, what are we going to cover on the podcast? Well, that obviously you're listening to part of it, which is your brand.
Yeah, that it's definitely mine in a sense of it's branded conversation, CON all caps versation, but this whole thing is ours. Like
Yeah.
the whole Wheat State Creates is our thing, and we've got so many great ideas and so many things that, like for example, I had my own personal YouTube page and all my own personal stuff, but like I didn't feel comfortable, maybe not comfortable, but I didn't have the audience to just throw this stuff out. So I decided, for one, and I'll let you explain this in a minute, Alex, is that we had a little bit of an audience from our wiffle ball, and that gained a lot of traction, and then wiffle ball kind of got shut down.
Yeah.
And then we kind of put both of the wiffle ball and then your baseball cards AF audience, and we're trying to combine them. They're two very separate, but also identical thing. Like they're in the same group, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so at least the way I'm kind of categorizing it, it's like we took our hobby that was wiffle ball, and obviously when we are doing something, we end up going a notch above casual.
Yeah, we if anyone that's listening knows, Alex and I, when we do stuff, we don't just do it to do it. I think we get ahead of ourselves.
To
in a
quote
sense.
Ron Swanson,
Ron Swanson.
we don't half-ass two things.
We whole ass one thing.
Is that right? Is that accurate, Jerry? Is that a correct? Sorry, I'm talking to Jerry, our producer. Over there.
So Jerry's over here. You guys know Jerry. He was smacking dingers, playing some wiffle ball. He's along on the ride with us. He's kind of our little producer. He's monitoring the audio waves over there. He's just kind of chilling, smiling, smirking.
And honestly, he's kind of just keeping us on track. He's giving us a little bit of sign language to, hey, speed this segment up.
Yeah, he says up yours
and
over
he
there.
says shove it. But no, really, this whole thing that we are doing, this Wheat State Creates, it's a vehicle to kind of move our content forward in a direction that we want it to. And at least for me,
Yeah.
having Connor along beside me is helping me stay accountable. I go 400 different directions on everything. I collect, you name it. I start 300
Collecting
different
things,
I
yeah.
start collecting things. I start 300 different creative type things. This is letting me kind of hone in on a couple different interests that I've got and
centralize them.
centralizing them and keeping me accountable on following up on them. Obviously, I'm going to have other things that I'm doing separate from this, but this definitely helps me have a little bit better of an avenue for that.
Right, and I think one of the other things too is like we both have always done things, like we grew up together, obviously. We always did things together, and I think that it's so much easier to create something whenever you have someone that maybe isn't like they're along for the ride. They want to do the same things that you want to do, but let's just say, we're taking my skills, I went to school. I went to school for this branding, this content creation, videography.
You've got the background, and you've always had kind of that drive. I remember, and this is gonna date myself a little bit, but back in the day when there was this app called Vine.
Oh boy. No.
You came into my room and you said, I need to show you this. And I said, okay. And it was this 6-second loop. And he had taken his Rey Mysterio action figure and he tapped around him like a 3-dimensional scan of Rey Mysterio. And it's just a continuous loop following
stop
around.
motion,
It was like a
honestly.
stop motion type thing. And that just kind of proved to me that he definitely is innovative and he was ahead of his time, and he went to school for it. He pursued video production and like marketing and all these sorts of things, and he's got the skills for it. And where I come into place, I feel like, and please correct me and jump in.
I will jump in. I'm just kidding. Let me know. Let me know what's you got.
So I feel like, I don't know how many times, we can probably count not even on 400 hands. How many
Wow.
times I've been like,
400,
okay, hey,
hang on. 400 hands. So let's do the math. I'm not good at math. 400 hands. 5 on
that would be 20,000
20,000
fingers.
fingers.
So
Anyway, sorry,
20,000
had
times.
to do
Let's-
that.
Hold on. We're assuming every person we're
Has
counting
all
on
5.
has all 5. Anyway,
Yeah.
How many times, realistically, have I come to you and been like, "Hey, I've got this concept for like this logo, and like I need it to have a microphone on it, but it's got to be the old timey Elvis microphone, and then it's got to have like this color scheme, but it has to have, a vintage feel. You know what I mean? Like,
And
do you
then-
know how to do that?"
And then I'm like, say less. And then I just do
and then
it.
I say less, and he's like, "Is this what you mean?" I'm like, "No, it needs to be more crispy." And he's like, "Oh, I get it."
Crispity crunchity.
And
That's
then
yeah.
that's what happens. And I have ideas like that all the time where I've got these like, I know what I mean, but no one else really knows what I mean. And luckily, he knows what I mean.
That's why I think this is gonna work out so well. Looking back at like the Vine era, it really does like kind of correlate with some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I'm really excited, guys. This is gonna be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of things coming your way. We've got a group of 3 of us here. Jerry's gonna be on conversation. Honestly, probably within the first few episodes, Jerry's gonna be like my co-host, and he's going to be along the ride. We're going to be having some fast food talk. We're going to talk about some video games. We're going to talk what else? We're going to talk some soft drinks. Anything and everything is welcome on conversation, and that is what just having a conversation is all about. Just like this, you brought up Vine, you brought up some of the things that I haven't thought about in so long, and that's why I think it's just really cool to think about all these different things.
So I know this is your thing, but let me try to take the wheel for a minute.
Okay.
And I want to ask for those of you, because this is going to be basically episode number 1. This is everyone's introduction. Obviously, we're going to get people who jump in the middle, and that may
Right,
come back to this. But what's your short-term goal for you
For this project?
For this project, for Wheat State Creates, what's your short-term goal for your career in the next, say, 6 months?
Well, let's start simple. For this project, it's simply to just create something that I want to create because, like I said, I work in the industry and I'm always creating something that clients want or my work wants, and it sometimes whenever I'm working, like a creative block will hit, and I sometimes think too hard about things a lot of the times. I think because, like, for example, I'll just be working on something for my actual job or for a client, and it's like, man, I just made this awesome, let's say, graphic, and I like this specific thing. Like, it's so, like, getting inside my head, like, I like this specific font, like the way it curves, but they like an edgy font, and then I have to change it, and I'm like, I mean, I have the skills to change it. I know how to please them, but
Yeah.
I oftentimes crave, like, doing things for myself, and I used to do that all the time, like throughout college, and
Yeah.
I've only been out of college for not even 6 months or whatever it's been, and my first year out of college, and of course with COVID and everything, for one, it's just to stay active in my free time and not have my mind go crazy, but it's also at the base level creating something that I want. Like, I can create this conversation logo you're looking at, if you're watching on YouTube at We Say Creates, if you're looking at that logo, I made it. It's all me. It's 100% me. It's no one else. Like I made that, right?
Yep.
And that's something that I don't get with my job, which is fine. I have a lot of creative liberties in the things I do, but like just being able to go into After Effects or Premiere Pro, Illustrator, anything like that, it's straight up me just making what I want.
So, from my understanding, you want creative control and you want a product that you would be happy to refer someone to listen to. This, if you were to send someone just a, hey, this is me in its purest form, this is probably what it's going to try to encapsulate. This is going to be your personality, your passion, your heart and soul, and what your end goal. Just, I guess, I mean,
There's really no end goal in my mind.
let me rephrase the end goal. I guess those things, passion, creativity, just your ambition and drive are things that I have seen since you were tiny, obviously.
Right.
And it's really cool to see that you're getting to a point where you're actually taking control of that. And the interesting thing, and you had talked about it very briefly before you went on your kind of, here's my background, here's X, Y, and Z.
Right.
You were like, I overthink a little bit is what I heard.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, you were approaching me about this podcast idea, and I bounced off a couple ideas, and you asked me, and the simplest and most pure, like, legitimate reaction, can we do that? And I said, why not?
Yeah, I think that we were talking about this whole idea, just a little backstory. We were talking about the idea of, like, I've always wanted to create a podcast, and I have a few times with Alex, Extra Spicy, but it was one of those things where we didn't have the right equipment. This whole idea, we should have started off with this. This whole idea started with me just finally buying some decent microphones for podcast specifics.
You were just trying to hone in on your audio skills, right?
Yeah,
Like, this is just kind of a, hey, I'm gonna chisel my craft a little bit.
Yeah,
better,
because
right?
I'm mostly video based. Like, I am video based, and that's one of the things that I have a crutch on is animation and pure video. Like, taking pictures and audio are my two Achilles heel, I guess. And last year I started taking more pictures in my senior year of college, and I mean, I'm not great, but I definitely have learned a lot from just going out and taking pictures. And then the purchase for these mics was the same thing. I was like, you know what? They're on sale, whatever. I got them from Amazon. They were like $70 for two of them. They're not the most high quality, but that's not the point. I wanted to, like, hone in on my audio engineering, and I just want to get better at that. But also, it created this whole thing that us three, Jerry included, are sitting in amongst this pandemic that we can have a conversation over. I think it's just crazy.
I think I kind of concluded one of my points, and I mean, you were definitely you had kind of your own path going. As you were talking, I had another question, and you said you have two Achilles heels, which were photos and audio.
Yeah.
Does doing a media that is purely audio, is there any fear in that? Is there what are your...
It's not so much fear, but it's like I can't show off. Like, I can't.
You have nothing to hide behind, right?
Well, for one, I'm not. I usually don't like talking to. I usually like being behind the scenes, and like this whole thing is me just putting myself out there. Not like I'm sharing anything personal, but just like I usually am the guy
We'll get there.
I'm usually the guy that's like editing in a little room or whatever. I'm behind the camera. I'm at an event. I'm shooting my stuff, and then I go home, edit, throw them that, and then their reaction, whatever that is, wedding, sports, whatever it is, like their reaction is what I strive for, in a sense, because it's like, to me, it's my product. They're viewing my product in a from a video standpoint. Like an audio standpoint, I can guarantee you they're solely listening to this because of the subject matter. And in this case, I am the subject. You and I are the subject matter. It's got my freaking first 3 letters in my name on it. Like in the title. Like I will be amazed if more than like 20 people listen to this. Like genuinely listen through the whole way through. But that's not the point. The point of it is to like just do what I want to do, like whatever I want to do.
Do we have any place that people can reach us? I know we've got Instagram. Is there anywhere that people can reach us about topics, just to reach out? Do we have an email or anything like that set up yet?
So one of the things that we actually, I know we're going in with this because we talked about it a little bit before we started this podcast. We have YouTube at Wheat State Creates, as I mentioned. We have Instagram at Wheat State Creates. Everything's Wheat State Creates. Just no spaces, all lowercase, Wheat State Creates. And then we also have a Gmail, wheatstatecreates@gmail.com. And you have an idea, and this may be something more for maybe extra spicy because you can send it out if I think I know what you're going for.
Basically what I'm going to be doing, and this probably won't interest the people who would be primarily listening to your podcast.
And it might.
But
I mean, we have a lot of wiffle ballers. So
we do have some wiffle ballers. This might be something good. I was sifting through my cards. I collect cards quite a bit.
Yeah.
I have a box. I've got several unopened packs. I've got cards sorted by teams and, all this sort of stuff. But my thought is to help us get a little visibility on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Specifically, Apple is kind of my focus. I know we're going to try to get on Google Play Store and Spotify as well.
Yeah, whatever that Google is called. Yeah.
For those who have Apple Podcasts, go to our podcast page, and if you will leave us a 5-star review, it's got to be a 5-star review.
5-star it up.
Okay. We're going to do something where we read our favorite 5-star reviews. Now, your 5-star review can be about us, obviously. That would be the most likely for your review. But I also think it would be cool to see what your interests are. Give us something good that happened this week. Whatever you want to put in our review, as long as it's 5 stars, it will help boost us up and at least get us a little bit of visibility. My thought is, as soon as we get 20 5-star reviews, and that might be ambitious and we may be sitting on this for a while, but 20 5-star reviews, they've got to be 5 stars.
That is 20 space 5-star, not 25, 20 5-star reviews.
Thank you. We're going to pick our favorite, and then I'm going to dig into my collection, and I'll give you an option or two as far as what you want your prize pack to be. But this is going to be the Baseball Cards AF prize pack. And the key feature of this is going to be a signed Pat Neshek card. And for those of you who collect baseball cards know, Pat Neshek is a huge card collector, and he's an incredible submarine pitcher.
Yeah.
And I'll be throwing in an autograph of his, and then I'll give you an option of either you can pick, 20 to 30 of your favorite baseball players, favorite team, or I'll send some unopened packs to you just as the winner of the 5-star review contest.
Yeah, and so pretty much from that's obviously, this is the first episode on Wheat State Creates podcast on Apple, YouTube, all the places you listen to podcasts. But for more information on that, be sure to follow up on the very first episode of Extra Spicy, which will be released within the next few weeks. Within the next few weeks. Can't even talk right now.
Next few weeks? What are you talking about? We're thinking
The next few days.
Now, when we say extra spicy,
Oh boy, it's gonna be that. Okay, guys, for you wiffle ballers that are coming from our Instagram, I know you guys love you some baseball. You got to give my man Baseball Cards AF on YouTube. Type it in, Baseball Cards AF. You got to give him a follow, and then from there, you listen to this podcast conversation. And then right after this, you hop over to the Wheat State Creates Extra Spicy podcast, where we talk hot takes on baseball, mainly NL Central.
mainly.
Mainly NL Central. Look, we don't know a lick about analytics. We're diehard Cardinal fans, but it's gonna be okay because it's gonna be hot.
But we've got some takes. I've got some opinions that definitely will not age well. If you are interested in someone who very casually follows all baseball teams, who has probably terrible opinions on the
they're
free
gonna be
agency
trash
market, if you are interested in what my thoughts are on the 60-game season and how the World Series champions are not on the same level as the other World Series champions, then follow Extra
Spicy, and that will be posted on our Wheat State Creates Instagram as well. So everything that you're listening to right now can be found on this channel. And guys, just be looking forward to more conversation episodes. There's going to be a lot featuring Jerry B, our producer. We're going to have some takes on some fast food, like I said earlier, some video games, some soft drinks. You name it, we create it here at Wheat State Creates. This has been the very first episode of Conversation.
I think you might have just got a tag phrase for the entire brand identity. You name it, we create it.